Yo, what's up, everybody? Y'all know what time it is. The after party video podcast of the church. Man, we are just excited about doing this podcast. They're excited too. It is 11:30 at night. And Ricky, are you embarrassed of me?
No.
All right. So here we go. We're just going to go around in a circle or a rectangle or whatever way y'all want to do it. Just introduce yourselves. We got some amazing people. Why don't y'all look at the camera and give it a wave? That'll give me a good still shot for the picture too. All right. Here we go. Go ahead. From my right to my left.
My name is Rick.
My name is Luke.
Luke, Rick,
Troy.
Haven.
Taking care of my niece. What an honor and privilege to have her on this video podcast tonight, man. I'm excited. Man, guys been doing some cool things, right? Like just corporately, individually, in our lives. We got some exciting things coming this year. Some exciting things happening in our church, happening in our personal lives. And man, let's just go around the table and maybe just share a little bit about what the Lord's been doing in your life. You know, let's just go ahead and share. Just something, quick.
Are we going in the same form or fashion that we just said our names?
Yeah, let's go from my right to my left.
Rick. Rick.
He's definitely.
All right, next. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
Hey, don't hit him.
Oh, my bad. That is
I'll
true.
knock you out.
Okay,
That is true. That is true. You gotta get in the camera. They can't even see your face.
Oh, they can't.
Yeah.
Gotta take the labels off the water bottle real quick.
Yeah, no free clout.
Ain't nobody watching this podcast. No, I'm joking. I'm playing.
Be thankful. Excuse me.
I'm never gonna talk.
Go ahead, sir. I'm waiting.
All right, for real, let's do this.
No. He's been teaching me just a lot of more difficult lessons than I have really had to learn in the past. I feel like right now I'm walking through a lot of fires, but the good thing about that, in the Word it talks about how our faith is tested like gold is tested by fire, except that our faith is more precious than mere gold. And that's one of my favorite verses that I've read in the past year, because it is so true to, I feel like, everyone's life, especially those, who understand what it means to walk with the Lord regardless of what you're going through. And when you are walking through the fire, if you're able to keep your eyes, like you said, I think you said this in service today. I was watching it. Keeping your eyes on Jesus, and just it being. Did you preach about this, or I might have seen this somewhere else? But
take it up your cross and following him.
Right, but like keeping your eyes, it's so much easier to get through the trials and tribulations when you're looking at him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I referred to Peter being on the water.
So that was you. Okay, yeah. I just want to make
sure.
I
mean, I'm sure somebody else said it before, but yes, tonight.
So that was really good, because that is, kind of defines a lot of what I'm dealing with right now. But just because, it keeps you going. Like when you have your eyes focused above, like it keeps you going no matter what's going on, no matter how much, the devil tries to throw things in your way to hold you back or, barricade you from getting to where you need to be. Like keeping your eyes on God, it's not, there's always a path that the distractions can't block. You know what I'm saying? And so like when you're just looking up at him, it just makes it a lot easier. But definitely a lot of that. So I mean, it's not always, it's not always fun on the surface, but at the end of the day, it's always worth it. Every time I've ever gone through something like that, it's always been for a really, really good reason. Yeah. And I've always been thankful for it.
That's awesome. That's good. Oh, Luke, old nephew.
Well,
by marriage, but
old nephew.
Yeah, I remember. Boy, he as a little kid, he was cool. You're still cool, but you're not a little kid no more.
What do you mean?
He was alright.
I was alright.
Well, no, I just said as a little kid he was cool, but he's still cool. He's just not a little kid no more.
Yeah.
He's taller than me.
Well,
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise anyone, really. But go ahead. What's the Lord been doing in the life of Luke?
well, he's been teaching me patience, definitely.
Oof.
He's been teaching me what, like I said, patience and just overall waiting on that next season, because only the Lord knows where the next step is. So that's all he's been teaching me.
That's
really.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. What about you, OT Roy?
It's been an interesting couple of months, but
I thought that was a mic drop. I'm sorry. Might be. What's it? Mic drop? No.
beatbox,
No. When it's the beat drop, like it builds up.
bass, something,
No,
bass drop.
I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Thank God we don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, teach me a lot about myself. I did a 3-day fast for the first time like a week ago. That was awesome. Loved it. I normally hate fasting, but I really enjoyed that fast. And it's made me want to fast more. The Lord revealed some things about myself through it. And some things that I needed to correct in my own life and in different parts of my life, which I'm thankful for. And recently, he's just been teaching me things. He teaches me things every day about myself, about other people, about, my own personal walk. Because that's just a relationship I have with him. And I fasted yesterday. Just a fast, because I really enjoyed fasting for the 3 days that I did. Even though it was a rough 3 days, the fast was worth it. But Thursday I fasted just to do it. And it was really cool because I prayed and I read and I was just relaxing because it was my day off. And I was on YouTube and I found this video, and it was a guy and he was interviewing the president of El Salvador, the country. And I forgot what the title of the video was, but it was like President blah, whatever his name was, of El Salvador talks about prayer in his country or something like that. And I was like, that seems pretty cool. Plus, like, I knew of the guy who was interviewing. I've never really heard anything from him before, but I was just like, you know what, like, that's an interesting title to hear about, like, a political, thing. Anyways, so I clicked and I was watching it. And I didn't know nothing about El Salvador or their politics or what goes on in their country. And so I was watching it. And the president guy, he was pretty chill. And he was just interviewing them, telling them, I asked him a bunch of questions. And he was like, so, like, your country used to be the most dangerous country in the world. Compared to every single country in the world, it was the most dangerous, worst crime rates, everything. It was a terrible place. And in 3 years, it's been transformed into the most peaceful country in, I guess, the West, whatever we're considered.
Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, the most peaceful country. To where they have less murders than America per 100,000 people. And he was like, so how did you do that? And such a massive problem that countries like the United States, they have problems, but nothing as bad as the most dangerous country in the world. And we can't even solve our problems with the vast majority of wealth that we have. When El Salvador is a poor country, it's not like it has a lot of money. It's not financially well off at all. And he was asking, like, the guy, like, how'd you do it? And he was like, well, there's the real way it happened, and then there's the official way it happened. And he was like, and the guy was like, okay, like, what does that mean? He was like, I'll tell you the official way. And he went off and he was talking about, we did it in phases, and we discussed what we were going to do, at what point, and how we were going to do it. And he went into detail on it a little bit, not much detail. And it was interesting because what the main problem was like the population of El Salvador is like 6 million people, which in the grand scheme of things, Not a lot of people. But their big problem was they had 70,000 MS-13 gang members that were terrorizing the country. And they, for a long time, couldn't get it under wraps, whatever. And so he asked them, so what's the real reason? Like, you were able to, like, fix it. And he looked at him dead in the eyes, and with all seriousness, the guy said, oh, it was a miracle. And the guy laughed. But he was like, yeah. And he was like, no, like, seriously. And he was talking about, like, in all of my meetings with the people who I run this country with, we would stop and we just pray. We would just pray. When we didn't know what to do, first step was seeking God's wisdom.
Jeez.
And I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
That's wild. I was like, I've never heard somebody say something like this before. And like, I'm watching it, and I'm just mesmerized the fact that the president of a country is talking about how his first step to doing and running his country is seeking God's wisdom. You wouldn't hear that in America. You wouldn't hear that in almost any of the other countries of the world. And he was talking about it, about how so many different things that through prayer they were able to get through, and like through their way of how they were going to go forth and handling this situation, they had figured like there's probably going to be a lot of civilian casualties with like, because you know you basically have to go to war against a gang. And they prayed to God saying, can you please just have the casualty numbers be low for civilians? And there were 0 civilian casualties. And
God.
They're just saying all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy. And then he started talking about how the MS-13 gang is satanic and how they do satanic rituals, and he was talking about that a little bit. And I was just like blown away about how instead of like trying to figure out all this, what he said, like yeah, we could have all these plans, had all these phases, but the real reason it happened is because God did it through prayer. And we had faith that he would do it. And I'm just like blown away in multiple different reasons. And the guy asked him, okay, so what's your next step? And he said, oh, we need to work on our economy, you know, because we're the most peaceful country around right now. And so we're going to fix our problems. And one of our problems at the moment, we're a poor country, to fix the economy. And he was like, okay, how are you going to do it? And he said, oh, we got like 3 different phases we're going to go through. And so he's like, okay, what's phase 1? He said, see God's wisdom. And I'm like, bro, that's crazy. Like to hear a president say that is crazy.
That is crazy.
And then he was talking about how like much persecution that he had to go through to get this done within his own government. Like people in his Congress and other people like trying to throw him in prison, trying to get him kicked out of office, and all this like coming against him, the enemy coming against him because he's doing things the Lord's way. And like the main thing that the Lord was teaching me through watching this video. Oh, look at that.
Ah,
Y'all can't hear it, but I hear the
there's
buzzing
a
and
doodle
getting
bug.
But the main thing he was teaching me was like we always talk about like the power of prayer, the power of a praying mother, blah, blah, blah. But like, we obviously don't take that serious because like, who do you know who could run a country that was the literally most dangerous country in the world and say, you know what, I'm going to let God handle it and pray and be open to that and have that be your number one thing. Like if God can change the most dangerous country in the world just through prayer, what can he do in my life just through prayer? If I would earnestly seek his wisdom first before anything and truly believe and pray in things in my life, what could he do? What could he do on the North Shore? If we would come together as a group of believers like him and his, I guess it would be his cabinet or whoever he runs his country with him, came together as a group of believers. Because another thing he asked him is like, well, are the people who you run the country with, are they believers as well? I was like, yeah, we're all believers. And we would all come, and when we didn't know what to do, we'd pray.
That's
and
so
see
cool.
God's wisdom. And I was blown away, dude. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
It's encouraging.
Very. And so, like, the thing he was really putting me on was, like, God's wisdom God's wisdom, God's wisdom. Like every time I hear it, it was just like sticking to me because it's like the word says like the wisdom of man is nothing. It's foolish compared to God's. And so like in a way, like I can see that because like we see like our own country, we got problems nowhere near as bad as what they were having, but like we can't figure our own stuff out. But you don't have a guy in office who's saying that he's, you know, relying on God's wisdom to fix everything. I feel like if we did, we'd probably have a lot less problems looking at what happened over there. Yeah. And so it's like, what can we do in our own lives, in our families' lives, in our community, if we would seek God's wisdom before acting, no matter what the situation was, and if we truly, truly, truly came together and prayed but believed in our prayer and like knew because like in their situation, like when it comes to the prayers that they were having to pray in this moment, like you have no choice but to have full faith in this, because otherwise what are you going to do? And I feel like that's the kind of mindset we have to have in our prayers no matter what the situation is. Whether you're praying for somebody to be healed or you're praying to get a job, like if we're not praying with the mindset of I have to be nothing but like in this, like there's no other choice, then why are you praying in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have full faith and that full boldness towards it. Because in a way, that's the way the disciples prayed in the New Testament after Jesus left, full boldness, without a doubt. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really crazy experience.
Yeah, send me that video.
I wanted to watch the whole thing to make sure they weren't talking about like Islam or something like that. I wasn't finna look stupid.
Right.
But it was really cool. Really, really cool. And like you said, it's like a little inspiring because it's like if God can change the worst country in the world to being one of the most peaceful in just a matter of a couple of years, through the leader being persecuted, through trying to figure out all these problems.
Right.
What can he do?
By the way, when he says worse, he means crime rate, just so the viewers know.
What? And it's not like I said earlier, like they didn't have the resources like we have. They're poor. They don't have money, and they were still able to do it. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy what God can do with faith.
It is.
But yeah, that's kind of what he's been doing.
Especially the size of a mustard seed. Shoo, I don't know about that. What about you, old Haven Jolie? We have a Haven Jolie up in the... She's here. She will be signing autographs after the video podcast. Yep.
Troy has a big head. Sorry.
So go ahead. So what's been going on in the life of Haven Jolie McElroy? What has the Lord been doing in your life?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, he's been doing a lot for me. He's also taught me a lot of patience, but the most thing is like forgiving is like a big factor right now. Definitely in my prayers, like is forgiveness. Not just like from him, but like for my own self, because I do struggle with that a lot. Like I'm just like, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on my things, but like I just want to forgive easily, and I would hold grudges, and I would just go in defense mode, and it's not my intentions, but that's just how I am. So a lot of my prayers has just been forgiveness for all the hurt that has been done. And I promise, every day I pray about it, like every night before I go to sleep, the more I pray about it, the more forgiveness I actually like have. Like, and if I tell myself like, please like guide me through this forgiveness and everything, like it actually works and it helps me. And that's like a weight off my shoulders. And he's been helping me with that. That's
awesome. Isn't it hard when you forgive someone, but they do the same thing the next day?
Yeah.
So that goes to talk about like tonight, like take up your cross and follow me. It's a daily decision to make, you know?
Yeah. It's hard, but like I have to realize that like I'm doing it for him. I'm not doing it. Yes, I'm doing it for myself, but I'm also doing it for him. So like I'd rather a relationship with him than anyone else. And if they want to keep doing that, I just have to pray. I mean,
yeah.
Can't.
What is Jesus tells Peter 70 times 77, you know, which is the number of eternity, basically.
Of forgiveness. That's what
it's like completion, but it's also completion of never ending, constantly forgiving. Because you know, we'll be like, all right, number 49, all right, number 50, all right, number 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like 800, and then we start getting to 7 times 77. I don't know what that is.
That doesn't mean like forgive only like 77 times. It means like it's like endless forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like, because he wants you to forgive like
Yeah.
as many times. Because we learned that me and Emma actually do Purple Book every week with our good friend Dana. And we learned that was the chapter the lesson we learned was about that. And I've been suffering a lot with forgiveness during that time. This was like, I think like a week or two ago. And I was suffering bad with forgiveness. And I opened up to them. And before we even started, we're just like, okay, we're gonna say that. We're gonna pray after. And then we're reading the lesson. It's just about forgiveness. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I promise every time we do a meeting, they all like every lesson, like literally like talks about what is going on during that week. And that was mentioned, like, and Dana's like, that doesn't mean like only forgive 77 times. No, it just means like endless forgiveness. Like it's just an eternity. Like there's no like limit, like at all.
That's so cool. It's so true too. And it's like we said, it's a daily decision. I have to wake up today. I have to deny. I have to desire Him, deny myself, take up my cross, and follow. Then I go to bed.
Which is hard in this world, honestly.
Yeah, especially
very
now.
hard in this world.
But that's hard in every world.
Yeah.
You know, it's true self denial.
And it's only getting harder.
Yeah, yeah. So I literally, I remember almost every day, I'm like, Lord, just let my flesh die. Like I want my flesh to die, you know, and because there are things that rise up inside of me that bother me, that people say or do, and I don't. You could have you could not have unforgiveness towards somebody, but still be bothered by the things they do, and it will rob you. So it's like I'm gonna deny the fact that what you even say is bothering me. Like I'm gonna choose, you know, or what you do, and does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
So you're right though. It's a daily decision that we have to make, and even as a pastor, I have to make a decision daily. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna desire the Lord. I'm gonna deny myself, take up my cross, and follow Him.
I mean, as much as God forgives us, we should forgive our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we fall in sin and God forgives us and God loves us unabundantly, I can't say that right, we should love our brothers and sisters the same way.
Yeah. That's true. That's tough.
Yeah, it is.
That's a tough place to get to, but that comes to the point to where loving everyone and know that when people come against you, it is not the person coming against you; it's the spirit inside of them coming against the spirit inside of you.
Definitely.
You know, and when you can look at, okay, we had this conversation a long time ago. When you truly look at that, like this is, you don't have a problem with me; he has a problem with the spirit in me. It's easier to forgive people, and it's easier to love them.
So forgiveness isn't exactly something I struggle with. I used to be not at all. Like if you did me wrong, like I did not forgive at all. But like I forgive really quick now, I feel. Like I may like get mad for a second, but like I'm real quick to like just let things go. And I caught myself like it was so cool because like it was not too long ago something happened and somebody did something that was like not cool, you know. And like the first thing that came to my mind wasn't like I hate that person, blah blah blah. It was the Lord will get revenge. And I was like, but Lord, I don't want you to get revenge. I just want them. I want them to be forgiven. I want them to meet you. I want them to like be convicted. And like I started saying this stuff, but like I wasn't thinking this. Like it just came out of nowhere, and I was like, whoa, like that's pretty cool.
Who is this Troy?
Well, I feel like in that moment you just need to pray for him. At that moment, like
I did.
It's like Lord,
but like it was just so
just
cool
heal
because
him.
like I went from someone who just hated people who like I didn't like if you did me dirty, like I was the kind of person where like you said something, I was always firing back with something messed up. And I almost did. But I literally like the thought, because it's like the Bible says it, like the Lord will get revenge. Like the revenge is of the Lord's. And so it's not a bad thought to have. But like instead of being like, yeah, like go get him, it was just I don't want that to happen. Like I want him to be forgiven. I want him to meet the Lord. I want him to be convicted and repent of his sin and not have. Oh, y'all hear that? Oh, I thought I heard something weird. But anyways, like the Lord has taught me a lot.
God, is that you? Oh. I mean, we do have a bug flying around in here.
We do.
I thought I could like hear myself through somebody else's mic. But I don't know. I think I'm just tripping. But like the Lord has taught me a lot about forgiveness through his word and through like teaching Bible study and other things and through people. And so like for me, and I've said this on the podcast before, but back when we were doing Bible study every week, we were coming up and then we were talking about forgiveness one week. I felt like it was put on my heart and the Lord taught me a lot about it. And so like the question comes off of why does God love us so much? Like they got the birds and all of creation, all of the angels, all of animals that have been created. Out of everything, he loves us the most. He gives us the ability to repent. He does all this stuff for us, died for us. And it's like, why? Because when he made us in his image and in his likeness. So when he made us to be pure. He made us to be like him. And so that's what he sees in us. He sees that likeness in us. But in the garden, when sin was introduced, it's like a virus. And it comes and it corrupts. And it starts to change. And over time, through generations, we've transformed from that pure creation who he created us to be to a corrupted creation. And so when you look at people, when you look at yourself at times, when you look at yourself before you met Christ and you were in sin, you're still that pure creation he created. You're just corrupted by sin. And so that's why God's so loving and so forgiving, is because he sees you for who he created you to be. Because he knows who he created you to be. He created you to be pure like him. You're just suffering with corruption. You're suffering with a virus, with sickness. That's sin. A curse. And that's why he's so loving towards us. That's why he's so quick to forgive, because he knows it's not really us, but like you said, the Spirit in us. The Spirit's coming against us. And so the question comes, well, why do we have to forgive? Well, you come to Christ. And people talk about like, you become a new creation. You're not you're not slow, like you're not just you're a new creation. Because over time, through the walk of sanctification, he changes you from who you were to who he created you to be. He starts taking that corruption from you. He starts taking that virus from you and starts to make you back to that purified state that you were created to be. That's why whenever you suffer with all these sins and you come to Christ, all of a sudden you don't have that addiction anymore. All of a sudden you don't talk the same. You don't act the same. You love people. You don't treat people the same way. Out of nowhere, and people wonder, why is that happening? Because the Spirit's coming and purifying you. And so why should we forgive people?
Yeah.
Because you may be good right now. You may not be struggling with some things you used to. You may be starting and maybe farther along in that purifying process than somebody else, but you are in that same exact spot. To where that person you may be holding unforgiveness towards is just suffering with that same illness, that same corruption of sin that you dealt with. So who are you to not forgive them? Whenever it's not them. They were created to be pure, just like you and me. Just like everybody in this room, everybody in this world was created to be pure, was created to be in God's likeness. But through that corruption, it ruined it. And so the only reason why people do things to where we even need to forgive is because of that corruption. It's not them, but the Spirit's coming against them. That's why we must forgive. And another reason, and this is something that I don't know if you told me this or if this is something the Lord gave me, but it's something that I hold dearly. And I'm pretty sure you told me this, but it's like, if somebody does something to me that's wrong or something messed up or just does something wrong in general, Christ died for them either way. He came down and went on the cross and died for that person so that they might be saved. So who am I to not forgive somebody he died for? Who am I to be that kind of person? Who am I to cast judgment on somebody who he says you're forgiven? Who am I to do such a thing? I'm not worthy to do that. That's another reason why I try to forgive, because it's like, I know I'm imperfect. I know I've screwed up. And I need God's forgiveness. So who am I to hold that against somebody whenever I need the same thing?
Right. Yeah, it's so true, man. It is. And that's wisdom. That's good. It's good characteristics to have. When you get to a place like that, there's freedom. There's freedom in that. You know, is where
Definitely.
you don't hold grudges.
No.
You don't hold a tally of they did this, they did that. Now, there is a time where the Bible does talk about, like, if they're not receiving, you know, then don't cast your pearls amongst the pigs, or dust off your feet, you know. But it doesn't mean hate on them.
Not at all.
So, man, let's talk about worship at the lakefront.
That was dope.
So I know Ricky's got something. He's just like festering up at the sea. I can almost hear like a gurgle in his go, you know, like he's just excited. That is, so we call it worship under the oak. You haven't attended one
I've
yet.
not.
You got a pop hour, bro.
You have youth group on Sunday
Yeah,
nights.
I do.
Okay, that's probably why. That's exactly why. That's not probably why. So we do worship under the oak is what we call it, and there's this big oak tree at the
I saw
lake.
videos of it.
Oh,
It looks
man.
amazing.
Every time we've been out there, someone has come and joined us.
We're going to get to that in a minute, but
I
that
should
was
invite
dope.
him to.
That was so
church.
cool,
So,
dude.
Let's just go ahead, Rick. Tell me what did you? I'll let everybody go around the table, and just share. Just
I think we were the only two who were there.
oh, well, let's just. Well, you've been to one, none. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've seen videos.
She was there in spirit.
Spirit and truth.
That video was very beautiful.
Say that again.
I said that video was very beautiful.
Shout out. Which one?
Ethan.
The recent one that was posted.
Shout out to Ethan, but
Oh, he did a
also
good job.
Mandy put the video together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
She did a good job.
So she actually sent it. Her name's actually imprinted on it because it was on Instagram. So it's like Mandy84. We couldn't figure it out.
Shout
but,
out to Mandy.
Y'all should
Yeah.
live stream it. That would be cool.
So we've thought about it, and that's very high possibility. So it is definitely something that we are considering going out
I would
there.
definitely watch.
Man, this time we had the speaker. We purchased a speaker
Yeah, that was
with
dope.
microphones.
That
and
was really nice.
people were just going at it, singing. What's that song?
A lot of songs.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of his song. Huh?
Great song. Great clothes.
Grave Clothes. That was a good one. But
Yeshua,
Who's that by?
yeah, El Shaddai. Well, how's that go?
the names of God.
Shaddai. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
What?
I was trying to say.
Lord.
I was trying to say
Lord.
Adonai. How's it go? Adonai Rapha Nisi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Where's that song called?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to sing it.
It's the names of God by
Elohim.
Mercy Culture Worship.
Elohim
Yes.
Adonai Rapha
There you
Nisi.
go.
There we go.
Elohim Adonai Rapha. Hey, give me the microphone.
Elohim.
Adonai Rapha.
Elohim Adonai Rapha Nisi.
Elohim Adonai Rapha.
All right, we back. I'm sorry, y'all. We got clown a little bit, So man, so
Jeez.
tell me a little bit
All right,
about.
Rick.
Tell me a little bit about. Man, it was just great. I just no. Go ahead. I don't love the microphone. Tell me about it. Go ahead. Yeah, it was so good. No, I'm joking. For real. Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, it's beautiful every time that honestly worship is just so pure when you make it about God, and I think that's the number one thing that a lot of the Western church is missing right now is the fact, the principle that worship is about God and it's for God and it's to glorify Him and exalt His name. But when you get back to that simplicity and that mindset of just how holy it is to just be in His presence and honor Him for who He is and not just what He's done, there's just something about that just is unbeatable. And I love being able to come together as one body and being able to do that, not just in the four walls of a building, but with His creation, not just under the oak, but with people walking by and our whole community, and just releasing the sound of heaven over our community. I feel like is something that that is so important, especially in a world like today where sin is just so out in the open, especially in our music. So
Definitely.
when we make it about him, and we're open and outward about it, not to glorify ourselves or to put ourselves on a pedestal, but to use the gifts that he gave us to lift him high. I feel like there's something about that's just, again, like unbeatable. I love every second of it. And I know there was a moment where the Lord kind of took over when I was singing, and I was scared to death. I was sweating.
I remember that moment.
Everybody was like, "Why are you sweating so much?" I'm like, "Because
Bro, it was hot.
it wasn't
I mean,
that though. I mean, I was already sweating.
It
But
was hot.
like there was just something about it. Like, I didn't know what the Lord was doing or where He was taking me, or any of us, because it kind of like sometimes you venture away from a song and the Lord wants to write His own song, and that's completely. I love when He does that. It's just like you want to make sure that the whole time you're not getting distracted, and you want to be so thick in His presence. And I felt like in that moment, it really just felt like there was nothing else around me but Him. And I just feel like there's something so beautiful about that. Worship for me has always been, it's always been the center of my most intimate moments with God. Just sitting in His presence and singing to Him, because I don't like to sing in front of people unless it's in a setting like church. Like, I don't like to go around and just sing sing for me or show that off. I feel like that's something that I like to keep between me and the Lord a lot, until it's time to help lead people into worship. But most of the time, I mean, you won't hear me just singing everywhere and anywhere. It's something that I feel like I try to keep not keep quiet about, but definitely it's like it's what I do when I go to the secret place with the Lord. And I feel like
It's sacred to you.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody, it's important to be in those corporate settings, with one another, and break bread with one another and fellowship and glorify Him as a body. But then also there's that individual relationship that you need to foster. And I feel like a lot of the time, like, that's why I don't like to just let that be for anybody. I want it to be for Him. That's kind of what that's my heart with that. But I have absolutely no problem. It's an honor being able to, sing at, corporate worship settings, and just be in His presence with everybody else. You can really feel it when like I said, when you make it about Him. When it's about Him, it's like there's nothing else like it. And it's all about presence. And we talk about how in His presence there's transformation. And you were talking today about the 12-step process, when really all of this just happens at the feet of Jesus. And I have a big testimony with a friend of mine who was sick for a long time. And instead of, this is funny that we're talking about this, because this was something I was thinking about today. There wasn't a lot of prayer in the hospital room, but there was a lot of worship. There was a lot of just like being in His presence, and the fact of the outcome of that situation, healing taking place and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with the petition, and everything to do with the fact that His presence was just in the room and just sitting in it. And I felt like every time I went into the hospital room, I just felt this peace. And I carry that experience with me, because it always reminds me that, sometimes when there's nothing left to say, just worship Him, just be with Him, and lift Him high and give Him thanks. Because at the end of the day, that's what He deserves. And we could ask for nothing else, and He could do nothing else for us ever in our lives, and it would still be more than enough.
Yeah.
And so I feel like worship is like you said, it's very sacred, and it's very, very beautiful. And I'm so thankful that that is a big core value in our church for sure.
Worship in spirit and in truth.
Yeah.
Worship is definitely one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
It's definitely I feel like God shows up in worship more than ever. Like, it's crazy.
That's so cool. I love worshiping the Lord, and then I love going to read my word right after.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's like
Very much so.
it's like now like it just
I mean, because when you worship the Lord, we always talk about like seeking God's face, and that's all you're supposed to be doing when you're worshiping God is literally just seeking Him, praising Him, nothing else. Not supposed to be talking about yourself or whatever, or just, like having any other kind of thoughts or motives. Like, worship is to worship Him, and so Spirit always follows when you're in worship. People always get experiences in worship. They always get words in worship. At least I do.
Yeah.
But it's because that's when I'm focused on Him the most.
Yeah.
And almost every time, not almost every time He's ever done something crazy in my life, it wasn't when I had an agenda. It wasn't when I had a secret motive or something. It was whenever I wasn't worried about what I was going through, and I was just seeking His face. When I saw angels, I wasn't asking to see that. I was seeking His face.
Yeah.
When my aunt got healed, I was praying, but I was just seeking Him, seeking His will. Anytime I've ever gotten a word, anytime His word itself has jumped out to me and spoken to me, it's because I wasn't going in trying to find something to please me. I was just going in to learn and allow Him to minister to me.
Yeah.
Just seeking Him. And that's
out of love because you want to get to know Him.
exactly.
Man,
So that's when He can really reach you the most.
Right.
Because in a way, it's your heart lining up with His.
Well, it's you denying yourself and it's saying, I'm taking myself and I'm focusing on you. Even if things are going all around crazy left and right, I don't care. It's really take your cross, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. It's denying the need, or not focusing on the need instead of focusing on like the one. It's not focusing on the gift, but focusing on the gift giver.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like it's important, to seek Him, because there's so many people who the only time they ever seek Him is when they want something, and they get so mad
They
if
want
you
His hand.
Yeah, and it's true, and there's so many people who serve Him part time but expect full time benefits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't get that at your job.
Nope.
Like His grace, is sufficient. But glad you got something you want to say.
You definitely have to have a soft heart when you seek Him, because that's what allows the Spirit in, and that's when He comes and does His work in you.
And
Because if you have a hard heart, He can't go in. He can't come in. He won't come in. I mean, if you don't allow Him in, He won't come in. So
I think it's in 1 Peter. It talks about going to God and praying with a sober mind.
Yeah.
And I read that for the first time. I was like, that's interesting. Because like, how many times do you go run to God and you just dump all of your crap on Him? Exactly. And you just go dump and then you're out. And you're like somebody does that to you. How do you respond? Most times you can't.
Right.
Because they're just brrrr, and even if you do respond,
That's pretty good.
they don't ever take none. They don't ever listen to what you say.
Right.
And so he said, you pray sober-mindedly. And so I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, like when you pray and you talk to God, it's supposed to be as if you're having a conversation, correct? You're talking. If we're having an effective, efficient conversation, I'm not just going to be the only one just dumping, saying blah, 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 talking. It's going to be, okay, hey, like in a relationship, communicating effectively.
It's an exchange.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just me sitting here screaming at whoever I'm talking to because I'm mad at them and, like doing all this stuff. Like, no, that's not how you communicate effectively. You sit down, you take the time to think about what's going on, think about all the things, and you talk in a calmly manner. You do things correctly. And that's the same way we should pursue God when it comes to prayer. You go out of your way. What's the word I'm looking for?
Vulnerable.
No.
Express.
No. Oh, because he gave this to me not too long ago because he convicted me of something. Oh, my gosh. It was whenever... So we were wrestling in the pool not too long ago, and he ended up getting hurt. And I prayed for him, but it was just like a, Lord heal him type of prayer. And then we go up in his bedroom, chilling, and Kristen, out of nowhere, lays hands on him, prays for him, and he gets healed.
It's intentional.
There we go.
Something like that. It's a word similar to that. And the next day, I remember I was driving to her house, and I was praying about it, and he was like, there was no intention with that prayer. There's no intention. You just did it just to do it, just to say you did it and walk away. And I was like, wow.
So like almost like an expectation.
Yeah.
And I want to speak to that situation too, like whenever you're done, because there was a moment in that.
So it's like when it comes to prayer with God, like in a way, it's disrespectful if we don't respectfully go towards Him in like in a respectful way. I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm not getting words like I want to. Reverently.
Yeah.
Like He's not just your school counselor that's paid to sit there and let all this stuff dump on you. Like He's the God of the universe,
who even allows us to go before Him and bring out petitions.
Go reverently.
Right. Yeah. With a humble heart.
Yes.
Walk in humility. Like
yes.
Like you don't have to answer me.
Exactly.
The fact that we could even go to Him is one miracle.
Yeah.
He definitely humbles us.
That we go to Him and He listens is another miracle. The fact that we go to Him, He listens, and He responds is another miracle.
Exactly.
There's so many miracles attached in just going and praying. Like that right there is just a miracle, right? Like we could go bring our petitions before you. You hear our petitions. You respond to our petitions. And then you give us the ability to walk out.
Yeah.
There's just... People take for granted prayer, but we don't even realize the significance in going and just praying. And then heaven, we have the only God that responds.
Exactly.
That even has the capability of hearing.
And like the sad thing is you see all these other false religions that are so devoted to their faith, yet they see and will never receive anything.
No.
Ever. Willing to die for their religion when they've never ever received anything, and they never will. But us as Christians, when we do receive, we receive miracles, we see miracles. God teaches us stuff Himself.
We still take it for granted.
Still take it for granted. Still act like it's whatever. Still blow it off. Whenever these people who have never ever experienced anything ever will die at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's definitely our pride coming in. That's the pride in us that
definitely
coming in
amongst other
and
things.
also it's crazy that God can humble us and then He can be funny at moments, like just.
I definitely believe God has a sense of humor.
He's so funny sometimes.
100%.
Yes.
I have a feeling God has a sense of humor, and I don't know if y'all old enough, but y'all definitely not old enough. Back in the day, there was a newspaper that came in. There was a comedy article on the newspaper, and I feel like every day the Lord gets His newspaper and He looks at the comedy strip, and it's a story of something happening to me throughout the day, and He's just like, look at my dude Stephen today, like just fumbling the ball, tripping, I mean,
yeah, but that
just makes fun of
that
us all
verse
the time.
of like when you pray to the Lord, goes be in a sober-minded state like that. Like I didn't know that was in the Bible. It was my first time ever hearing that,
Yeah.
and it opened my eyes a lot because I've never heard anybody ever talk about that before.
yeah.
Because it's always cast your cares on the Lord.
Yes.
It's always do this. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but there's a wrong way of doing
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
And I was like, Bible study, bro, is pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. It
That
taught
is cool.
also
just teaching Bible study has taught me so much about the Word.
Right.
So many things I didn't know.
That is
Crazy.
It is. That's falling in love and wanting to, that's feasting on the Word. That's wanting to know the one who wrote the Word.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why we read, to get to know the heart behind the one who is the author. I mean, the Word of God's awesome, but the point of it is to get to know the author.
Yeah.
And it's just so awesome.
it draws you closer to Him.
It does. How much
Definitely.
time we have on that clock right there? On the top.
49:31.
Okay, we got like 3
10 minutes.
not even like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So you got something you want to share real quick?
Oh, No, I was just gonna say,
I didn't even get to talk about the worship night or about the day.
yeah, no, I just think there's something, there's some. Well, I mean, this all built off of this conversation built off of that, but like, and just there's something about like, just if for nothing else, like keep in mind the fact that worship is always and should always be about Him, and it should always glorify Him. It by definition, that's what it is. And when we make it so much about ourselves, not only is that incorrect, in the approach that you're taking, but it's also entitled. Like there's so much entitlement that's crept into worship, in modern worship, where we've turned it into a performance where we set a mood and an emotion, and that's not what it's for. Because I can tell you right now, it may not, you may not be bawling on the floor because there's a, one guitar and two, people who just started singing 6 months ago on a microphone under a tree, but there's nothing more pure and holy than just singing to the Lord to bless Him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's never about us, and so it goes further. I even wanted to say this, like even the times where we don't set this mood and emotion where everybody's on the floor crying, that's okay, because again, it's not about us. And it's just it's blessed me so much to learn that we have there's something inside of us that was created to lift Him high, and it's such a privilege to be able to do that, and we're blessed to live in a country where we are free to do that, even though we take persecution from other people. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we still have the right that we do, but yeah, just keep in mind that is the heart of worship should always be for God. And if it's not the end of the world, because we serve a forgiving and a merciful God, who's willing to forgive and correct and realign us when we're ready to turn to Him in His entirety. But I mean, even growing in the Lord, like for the longest time, I was into that elevation worship. So not that there's anything wrong with that group, but like just like that music style of like this big powerful performance every single time. And the more I fall in love with the Lord, the more I realize I'm like, no, He just wants us to lift Him high, because that's what He deserves.
Yeah.
And I would want nothing less than that. If for nothing else, like I just want to live a life that does worship God, that to strive to, because that's the thing. Another thing, you can worship God with your actions, you can worship God with your words. It's not just a song. So when you have like that heart of worship, it helps everything you do be more like Him and more for Him.
That's so true.
Facts.
I mean, we just that song tonight. We worshipped. Oh, precious, this I know.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that song. It's a good song.
Makes
Love
me
that song.
white as. I enjoyed worship tonight. I enjoyed service. I thought it was awesome.
I feel like every
It
time I
was
come to
really
church,
good.
it's like worship's always like top tier. I don't know what it is.
We do a pretty good job.
Nothing.
I think it's the purity.
Yeah.
The Bible says, "Pure and whole will inherit the earth."
I mean, nothing.
Facts.
Nothing criticizing like other churches, but
Right.
it's definitely.
Yeah, and it's just simple. It's just
Yeah.
simplicity.
Yep.
It's just it's a group of people who love the Lord, who are pursuing the Lord.
Yep.
And for me, I just love the Lord.
And you can see it too.
Yeah.
You could definitely see it. Definitely the light.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you.
So the word that I don't know if you said it or not, I think it was similar, but intentional when it comes to prayer.
Yeah,
That's what he told me. He was like, there was no intention behind it.
right.
You just did it to
he
do
said
it.
that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
intentional.
and when Kristen prayed for me, I could just like I don't know what happened. I just like
Little Kristen.
Dude, it was crazy.
I felt like you,
He just turned around and is like,
but I didn't feel
Mouth was
anything.
just
I didn't
like-
feel the pain stop. I just felt faith. Like I felt like this faith radiating from this girl, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, I just know, I just knew. And it was like there was intention, but there was also like this faith. Just like I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna believe that God is gonna do this.
She going on a perhaps.
I don't know.
Literally, bro.
Perhaps suddenly. I love that word, suddenly. That's
It was
cool.
a wonderful.
Perhaps is
it was a
crazy.
wonderful experience.
I don't know. I know y'all talked about this in previous podcasts, but like, I don't know what she got a word. If she got a word, just go and pray for him. But it's definitely where
I think
on
she
being
just
not.
wanted to try. I think she wanted to shoot her shot.
Just wanted to
Yeah.
I don't know. She didn't
pray
even say
for
nothing,
Rick.
bro.
She
She
didn't
just,
say anything. She
I was
just
like-
laid her hands
Oh, wow.
on him.
Yeah, we're all sitting there, and I just feel like
Knowing her, she probably did this a couple of times. I pray for that healing.
Yeah. I mean, being on the other side of it, it's definitely a powerful experience.
yes,
And
most definitely.
It is.
yeah.
It is.
was-
To be
It
healed.
was pretty cool. It was wild.
That's so
To
cool.
be healed is-
To be healed and lay hands on somebody else and pray for someone
To-
else is even
Yeah.
powerful.
To watch somebody be healed off of a perhaps, bro,
Yeah.
is a crazy thing to experience.
Yeah.
That's true.
Crazy. 'Cause you,
I know.
scary.
It is. It is. But it's laying yourself out there. That's faith. You
It's
know?
lucky scary for the people that are getting
So,
prayed on to be healed.
so it's faith without having the ability to fail. And it's not.
Do you want to share that?
What?
What happened at Easter? Just real quick.
Why are you looking at me? Yeah. Yeah.
You want me to say it first? You want me to say it? Or you want to say it first? Like our experience.
Let her. Oh. Well,
You can talk first.
Okay. Well, on Easter, I was having the worst day. I'm just kidding, guys. No, it really was a bad morning, though.
wait. Why are you telling me? Oh, we had church time. Come on.
I was having a really rough morning, but I was having a rough morning, and I just wasn't feeling good at all. If you don't know, I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 16.
Oh, I remember the story. I mean, not that. I know
You're
that.
the one that
No,
prayed for
I know. Go ahead.
I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 16. So, like, it was really, really rough. It literally, like, took a toll on me, like, every day of my life.
It's a good story.
It was rough. But I was having a rough morning because I, like, woke up. And I knew it was going to be a rough morning. I don't want to sound like a downer or anything. But, like, I knew it was going to be rough because I woke up and I was just, like, not feeling... I was feeling tired than usual. And I was like, maybe it's just the trip I came back from. Like, I don't know. So then I was late to church. And when I went to church during service, I was like, I wasn't even sitting by him. Like, I was sitting with Rayma and Emma, and he was sitting by Rayma. But when I was at church, usually when, like, my seizures came, like, I would have, like, a sharp pain, like, just coming from, like, this side, just shooting, like, close to my eyebrow. And, like, I was just, like, I kind of just, like, grabbed my forehead, and I was just, like, please don't. Like, in my head, I was, like, not right now, because, like, it was just kept, like, it would just come out of nowhere, and it was, like, shooting pain. So I, like, didn't want to scare anyone, so I just looked at him and I said, oh, I'm going to go get a jacket out of my car. Really, I was just going to go in my car and, like, drink some water. Hopefully, like, I don't have a seizure or anything, because typically that would happen.
And this is happening. This is happening at church service.
Yes. This is in the middle of you preaching. Literally in the middle. And I just got up and I went to go get some water from my car. And then I went to go, like, I was just digging through my trunk to find a hoodie because Ian Christian walked out. And, like, Christian was talking to me, and I just was like, he was just, like, checking up on me, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. So then I decided to stand outside and just watch the service from there because, like, if anything happened, I wouldn't, like, scare anyone. And this is our first Sunday service. So I wasn't about to ruin that. So I was like, oh. So I'm just standing outside. And I think, like, Granny knew something was up because she was freaking out. Melania was sitting by her the whole entire time and was just like, and this is the first time my sister, like, has came to church. And the talk after, she was, like, in shock from it. But I was just standing outside, And I just keep feeling it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at Miss Mandy and I literally felt like I was gonna throw up on her. Like, I was just not feeling good. And then my little sister comes up and she's like, Granny's worried about you. She's like, she wants you to come stand by her. And I was like, okay. And I was like, was I really that like long gone? And then so I go up and Emma's across the room from me because I'm on the other side. She's, yeah, I love Emma, my little M, but like she's yelling, not like yelling, but she's mouthing. Like she's mouthing something. She's like, come here, like come here. And she's like, I'm thinking she's mad at me because like, I'm just thinking she's mad at me. The way she's kind of like mouthing stuff, I'm like, did I do something? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was kind of freaking out. And then she's like mouthing, come here, come here. And I was like, hey, just give me 1 second. Like, I'll come after Stephan's done praying. Because this is where the altar call was happening. And we were praying and everything. And my granny has locked arms on me right now, so I can't move. So after he's praying, he then proceeds to pray over people at altar call. And then I decide to go, like, to Emma's side across the room. And she's like, Troy told me for you to start praying. And I was like, what's happening? Like, I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, oh, like, something's wrong with him. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, and that's making me worried. And then I was like, what is going on? Because I stepped out of the church for, like, 5 minutes. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, if you want healing, start praying. So I'm just like, healing from what? It is not across my mind that, like, I'm not taking myself as main priority. Like, I'm thinking something's wrong with him, and that was my first intention. So then I started praying for him because I didn't know what was going on. And so then service ends, and then I hear Troy say, we need to pray for Haven. Telling Stephan, I was like, what is going on? So then we go and pray. And at first it was a short prayer. And after we got done with that short prayer, Troy said, like, no, we need to pray for healing for her epilepsy. And that kind of, like, my heart, like, dropped to my stomach. I was just like, okay. And honestly, I hate to admit this. I really do. But, like, I was like, God, like, in my head, I was like, God, this is your time to show me that, like, you are here with me and that you have been here with me this whole entire time since I started coming to you and I started my walk with you. Like I'm asking you, like, I just want to feel your presence for once. And in my head, I was just like, just show me something. Because, like, if I'm going to get healing over this, like, I don't want to lose faith from it. And that was my biggest concern. And we started praying, and my Uncle Stephan asked me to repeat things after. And when he said, like, rebuke it in the name of Jesus, like, so much pressure was just, like, it was like someone, like, imagine just someone taking, like, big hands, like, taking your whole head and just, like, pressing down on it, like, literally just trying to, like, squeeze you like a bottle can. Like, it felt like that. And I'm literally, like, holding on to my Uncle Stephan's hands because, like, I don't like the feeling of this. And it felt like it's, like, just 20 times more pressure than just the one side of my head does. And then when he said, they kept saying, like, repeat, like, Haven, repeat it. And I'm too focused on what's going on. And next thing you know, like, it just, shoot. Like, it literally felt like it was being, like, sucked out of my head. And then when they were like, Granny's like, Troy said, repeat it. Granny said, repeat it. I can't even, like, say the words out of my mouth because I'm like, did this really just happen? Like, did it really just happen? And I just remember, like, honestly, I had no words for it. I cannot stop thinking about it still to this day. Especially, like, even when, like, I do fall short. I'm not perfect. I'm not. And especially with things that have come into my life and that he's blessed me in my life. But, like, just looking back at that, I'm kind of just like, I don't think I'll ever lose my walk.
I have a
don't
question.
think I ever will.
How did that grow your faith? Like, just for the audience, just to.
Definitely made me, like, I used to be so afraid of praying in front of him. Like, I used to be afraid of praying for, my family. I'd be so, like, I just wouldn't pray. Like, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't, like, I would not keep up with my word. Like, during that walk, I was not good at reading my word. I do not. But even now, like, I do pray every single night. Even, like, I pray with you every time we see each other. We do as much as reading as we can when we see each other. I read my word. Like, even during the beach trip, I literally was like...
Don't tell nobody. I was trying to get her to come to the beach. She's like, I read my Bible. I'm like, don't worry about it.
like,
I said, come hang out with your family. That's so funny.
I don't know, just...
it was a test. She passed.
Just, like... I don't know. Even, like, when I do fall short and I fall into things that are worldly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not the greatest grammar person ever.
You said it perfect.
It's that Sean at me.
Yeah, it is.
Or like fall into temptations or anything like that. Like, I put a lot of, and if I do fall short, I put a lot of pressure on myself. But, like, I just keep reminding myself of that moment. And it's like a relief because I'm like, if he's willing to do that for me and he's willing to die on the cross for me, he's willing to forgive me for this. Yeah. And he's going to guide me through this even more.
That's so good.
Yeah, definitely be on the other side of healing, and then like being healed as myself being healed, and then having to pray for someone and obey God to pray for someone and them getting healed. It's definitely two different things. It's both of them are crazy, but it's definitely.
Right.
Oh, when I told my little sister, she was like,
"Yeah,
really? Really, sissy, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, Mel." Like,
it left the back of my head.
I was like, "Girl, you were one of them that was holding my hands during this prayer."
How do you think it made your sister feel like in that moment?
She was definitely shocked.
Do you think it?
I think it planted a little seed.
Do you think it will?
Absolutely. I definitely have faith that like everyone's gonna be together.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because I want that. Like, I know that.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
I knew that.
Yeah.
So, and they coming. Well, I think that is a wrap for tonight's After Party video podcast. We're probably an hour into it. But we love Jesus. We love to worship. We love to share about Jesus. We love to talk about Jesus. We love to sing about Jesus.
That was good.
Thank you. Oh, precious this I know that.
You should sing in church.
I should not sing in church.
You should.
We love y'all. Be blessed. Tune in next. We do these on Friday nights, but tune in next Saturday, and you will see the After Party video podcast. I'll post this one tomorrow. God is good. We love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be blessed. If I can get somebody to hit the little pause or the stop button, and